Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. If you're managing a university campus, you already know the drill. Keeping your spaces looking pristine, modern, and unified is absolutely critical, but it is also a massive headache that honestly requires way too much coffee. You're constantly trying to solve this giant logistical puzzle. How do we update our institutional graphics without completely shutting down daily operations? Traditionally, getting that aesthetic upgrade meant paying an unacceptable price in terms of workflow disruption. But today, we're going to break down exactly how modern facilities are solving this using our expertly engineered low-disruption solutions.
It's kind of the ultimate operational paradox, right? Universities are basically micro-cities that operate 24/7. You've got classes running from early morning way into the evening. Students are constantly shuffling between dorms, dining halls, and libraries. Your facilities teams are already maxed out managing standard maintenance and emergency protocols without taking a single breath. So the big question is, how on earth do you refresh essential wayfinding or those high-profile donor walls when your operations team simply cannot afford a month-long corridor closure? You obviously can't just tape off the student center for weeks on end. The reality of a campus that literally never sleeps requires a totally different approach to infrastructure upgrades.
And this is the core conflict we see as industry experts every single day. On one hand, you have the continuous, high-traffic reality of modern campus life, complete with extremely tight budgets and non-stop scheduling. But on the other hand, you have the grim reality of traditional construction. We're talking pulling permits, erecting temporary barriers, setting up annoying dust containment, and suffering through weeks of noisy closures. When these two realities collide, leadership usually just hesitates to invest in necessary visual updates at all. And what happens? You end up with visual clutter and outdated graphics that actually start to damage the institution's reputation.
Let's look at Section 1, the traditional vinyl trap. Now, the sales brochure for traditional vinyl might promise you a nice 7 to 10 year lifespan. But the reality on an actual living campus? It's a completely different story. In high-traffic corridors, those vinyl seams become visibly dirty and start pulling apart in just a matter of months. Edges start peeling around corners and doorways. It's inevitable. And in human environments? Think university fitness centers, indoor pools, or packed dining halls. That humidity causes rapid bubbling that accelerates your replacement cycle down to just 3 to 5 years. It's a nightmare.
And look, the alternatives honestly aren't much better. Standard commercial wallpaper shares vinyl's exact weaknesses. The seams fail, moisture causes decay, and you're stuck in this relentless replacement cycle. Even beautiful hand-painted murals come with their own agonizing traps. They require massive closure periods, highly specialized artists, weather delays if they're outdoors, and incredibly skilled ongoing maintenance. When you rely on these fragile, outdated substrates, you're not just buying a graphic, you are literally guaranteeing future disruptions and ballooning your facility's budget for the next decade.
Which brings us to the solution in Section 2, the direct-to-wall revolution.
When we break down the raw data, direct-to-wall printing is hands down the only logical choice for high-traffic institutions. We are leaping from an expected lifespan of maybe 5 to 7 years with vinyl to an incredible 12 to 15 years. Instead of bubbling and high humidity, you get a fully cured, highly cleanable finish that entirely resists moisture. But the real game changer for facilities directors is the installation downtime. We take what used to be a multi-week, permit-heavy construction nightmare and turn it into a seamless process that takes under 5 hours per wall. No permits, no barriers, just instant, permanent results.
Plus, the aesthetic quality is just unmatched. We deploy industrial-grade digital printing technology that achieves true 1440 dpi resolution directly onto your existing surfaces. We're talking photoreal image quality at an architectural scale. And because we print directly onto finished drywall, CMU block, exposed brick, or concrete without any primers or adhesives, the image actually becomes part of the wall itself. Zero adhesives mean absolutely zero substrate shift. Zero seams mean there is nothing there to peel. It's a level of expert durability and visual fidelity that cheap vinyl panels simply cannot touch.
Let's ground this in reality with Section 3, Real-World Campus Successes.
Take this massive state university science building, for example. This facility operates year-round with intense schedules for classes, labs, and late-night research. A traditional vinyl or paint overhaul would have mandated phased construction, permits, and weeks of annoying dust control. Instead, by utilizing our direct-to-wall approach, we completely bypassed all of that. We matched the installation phase perfectly to their complex facilities calendar. We worked right around active class schedules, generated zero construction noise, and ensured that major events, like the total chaos of graduation week, went off without a hitch. We kept campus life moving smoothly.
Or consider this private university mixed-use facility. They desperately needed comprehensive new wayfinding and high-profile donor walls put up right before the chaotic student move-in period. Now, the high architectural investment of this building demanded absolute aesthetic perfection. Traditional off-color vinyl seams would have instantly cheapened the entire space. So our team executed the installation rapidly over a quiet 3-day weekend. We delivered flawless photoreal directional graphics that perfectly matched the building's visual identity, completely avoiding the cheap look of peeling edges before the students even unpacked their bags.
But perhaps our most critical test case is operating in highly sensitive environments, like this teaching hospital system situated right on a university campus. They needed consistent branding and safety signage across 3 connected, heavily utilized buildings. You absolutely cannot disrupt patient care or surgical schedules for a branding update. So, we printed the graphics directly onto the walls during specific, highly coordinated off-peak maintenance windows. The result? Flawless, unified branding across all 3 buildings with 0 operational impact and, most importantly, 0 safety compliance risk.
Moving right along to Section 4, Lifecycle Math and Sustainability.
Whenever we sit down with institutional leaders, there's one specific metric that completely changes the tone of the room: 40%. That is the maximum cost reduction you can see over a 10-year cycle when you make the switch from traditional methods to our direct-to-wall solutions. Because you are securing a 12 to 15-year lifespan with a cleanable, highly scuff-resistant finish, you just aren't paying for endless maintenance and rapid replacements anymore. Your overall cost of ownership drops dramatically, which allows you to stretch those capital budgets significantly further.
Let's actually look at how that 40% math plays out in the real world. With a standard vinyl life cycle on a 2,000 square foot space, you might pay $8,000 to $12,000 up front. But in 5 years, when it inevitably fails, you're paying for complete removal, wall repair, and a full reinstallation. Compare that to the direct-to-wall life cycle. The initial investment of $10,000 to $14,000 lasts up to 15 years. And crucially, our approach is totally future-proof. When institutional priorities shift and you eventually need a new look, you don't pay for a massive, messy tear-out. You simply paint right over the graphics to create a clean slate.
And this powerfully highlights another massive advantage: measurable environmental sustainability. Traditional vinyl installation generates roughly 15% material waste just during the application and seaming process alone, plus a literal mountain of landfill waste during removal. By utilizing a highly specialized system that prints on demand and on site, using only the precise amount of material required, we generate 0 manufacturing waste and 0 removal waste. It is a radically cleaner, greener way to manage your physical campus footprint.
For those of you managing massive, multi-location systems, you know the absolute headache of trying to keep Satellite Campus B looking exactly like Main Campus A. With traditional vendors, you constantly suffer from color drift, varying substrate quality, and wildly different installation timelines. We operate differently. We use one master digital design file and execute a pixel-perfect digital deployment across every single location. This means unified institutional pride everywhere, all managed through a single expert vendor. It wildly simplifies your procurement, and it guarantees that your regional center looks just as premium as your flagship campus.
Finally, here is Section 5, the blueprint for upgrading.
As experts in the space, we've optimized this entire process for campus speed. We start with a quick site survey and design approval, taking about 1 to 2 weeks of planning. Then, the actual on-site surface prep and printing is usually knocked out in just 1 to 2 days, followed immediately by same-day or next morning curing and inspection. By breaking down the installation into these incredibly fast, non-invasive phases, we can execute the work during early mornings or late evenings. That means your crucial Tuesday night student study group goes completely uninterrupted.
And I want to stress this. We don't just act as a standard vendor taking orders. We truly partner with you as expert advisors. Before a single drop of ink ever hits your walls, our team consults with yours to provide exact digital mock-ups, perfect color accuracy previews, and incredibly honest, realistic timeline assessments. We work directly with your facilities director to identify the absolute optimal installation windows, ensuring there are 0 on-site surprises. We've managed hundreds of these institutional projects, and that specialized expertise is baked into every single step of our workflow.
So having seen the dramatic difference in durability, cost efficiency, and installation speed, the technology is here and the math is absolutely proven. The only real question left to ask is, how many more budget cycles are you willing to waste on a disruptive 20th century vinyl solution for your 21st century campus?